What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Travis. Of course, this is TWA Motorsports, and today we are working on my son's G8. Now, I told you in the last video when we did the brakes and the wheels that we were getting really close to him driving, and really the last thing we need to do to this car, which is good for me, is we need to do the paint correction. So if you guys have seen any of the videos in the past on this car, and sorry it's so echoey, we're up here in my top garage and it's freezing cold outside, but we paint corrected a couple areas when we were fixing some things. So when we put the little shark fin antenna on, you can see the paint's way more glossy, but look at the oxidation in this paint and just the marring. And it's really, really bad up here on the hood because I had him clay bar this car when we got it back. So you can see the marring that he put in it when he clay barred it, which is fine. But today we need to fix this paint. And so that is what we're gonna do. We're gonna spend the day, we're gonna knock it all out today. And so a couple things that we're gonna be doing. So the very first thing before we even wash it, because we need to wash it, it's dirty, is we're gonna take some of this. I'm gonna have him come out here and use some of this trim cleaner, and we're gonna hit these areas that are really oxidized right here. So this little piece of rubber around the windows, I'm gonna have him spray that. I'm gonna have him scrub it with a toothbrush to try to knock some of the debris out of there. And then other than that, we're gonna take a couple tools up here. So like this guy right here, I'm gonna have him, as I'm washing it, go around like the door handles and the little cracks here in the window so we can get all the dirt out of like the little nooks and crannies in the car. So like, you know, these areas here, around like the little vents on the side, around the front, in the grills, like these areas here, because this thing had like that billet, some sort of billet grill, was hideous. And so just that stuff there. Now, once we do that, obviously we're gonna wash it, we're gonna hand dry it, and then we're gonna start the buffing process. So what I'll probably do is I'll time lapse some of this, but then when we break to maybe use another product, I'll tell you guys what I'm using. A couple of you guys have asked me how I wash cars, and so you're gonna really get to see. So I use a 3-bucket method. So you can see I've got 3 buckets up there. My black bucket is for like wheels and tires, and it has a grit guard in it. And then we have 2 wash buckets. So we have a clean water bucket, like a rinse bucket, and then we have a wash bucket. So 3 buckets is what I use. And so what we will do is we'll put some Chemical Guys soap in there, and actually, I'll show you guys what that is here. This is what I'm using, just some auto wash. And guys, I'm pretty happy with this stuff. It does a good job. And so we're gonna use that in the wash bucket. But like I said, we're gonna get it all washed up, and I'll probably time lapse a majority of that. And then when we go to the buffing stage, I'll talk about, because I'm gonna use a different product. I'm trying not to get as much dust as I've had in the past. So we're gonna try to use something maybe a little bit different, still using the same old cheapy Griots polisher. And we're not looking for perfection here, guys. Look, it's not gonna be a show car, it's gonna be his daily driver, but we wanna clean this up and make it look really nice. And I think it's gonna look really nice once we're finished. But like I said, the paint's pretty rough. You can see an area where I showed him what it could look like, and still we can do a little better there. But yeah, check this out. I mean, it's got tons of, you know, staining from washing in the past. I mean, it's gonna clean up really nice. I think it's gonna look really good. So let's get started. Now that we have it washed, I'm gonna let it set for about, I don't know, probably 30 minutes to an hour to kind of, some of the stuff to drip off. Now you notice that we cleaned the door jambs, or went over the door jambs. We didn't get real crazy there, just wiping them down. I actually used my blower here. This is actually just a plug-in leaf blower. And I always like to go over like the crevices in the door jambs, the mirrors, you know, places where it's gonna leak water. So I blew all that out. We wiped it down one more time. It's been drying for about 10 minutes now. So I'm gonna give it, like I said, another probably 30 minutes at least. And then we're gonna go to town with the buffer. So I think, you know, we cleaned up a lot of oxidation with just washing it. Now it still looks absolutely atrocious. But this is gonna be kind of fun because it's going to come out looking really nice. Even those areas, you know, you can see like this area here where I just went one pass, and then I also did the trunk, remember, because we put the spoiler on because it had broken off. And so the trunk, I'll probably go over it again with the second stage of polish, but as far as doing, you know, a two-stage polish on this, I probably won't. But anyway, we'll get back into it here in just a second, and I'll talk about what products I'm gonna be using. Like I said, I'm gonna be trying something new on this because I'm wanting, look, the M105 that I normally use for the first stage of like cutting is really dusty. And I reached out on some of my videos and asked, you know, people that do this for a living. I'm just a novice, guys, but I do like doing it, but I've never used another product that worked as well. But everybody said try M100. And so we're gonna give it a shot. And actually, I'll just show it to you now so we can see, and then we'll talk about what we're going to be doing. I got, and I'll list below, these kind of clog-free nozzles, which are kind of nice to have so we can leave it open and it doesn't get all clogged and gooped up like the, you know, the one that you get it in. So I poured it in here. This is Meguiar's M100, and it's kind of got a blue tint to it, but we're gonna put that on a microfiber cutting pad, and it's just a 5.5 inch pad. Now the Griots polisher comes with a 6.5 inch pad, but there's not a lot of options as far as pads go. So I switched the backing plate to a 5.5 inch backing plate. So I had a little more options as far as buffing pads. So we're gonna use a microfiber pad with this M100, and we're gonna get started, probably gonna start on the top. And just because, you know, we're gonna be leaning up against this, I'm also going to tape off these areas that we cleaned with that trim cleaner. I'm gonna grab some blue tape, painter's tape, and just tape this off, and then we'll get started. So we're ready. You can see that I taped off the edges just so I don't get into those areas that we cleaned, and try to keep some of the junk out of the cracks. I just used some green painter's tape. It's like frog tape. I'll list it down below. But anyway, I'm gonna grab the M100 right there. I'm gonna grab this M100. I've got my pad ready to go. So we're gonna try this and see. I think, like I said, it's gonna clean up pretty good. So we'll just see what happens. Like I said, I've never used this M100. I'm hoping that it doesn't dust as much. And this is gonna take, it's gonna take a lot to prime this pad because this is pretty bad. Close it. Good. We're gonna get started. I'll probably time lapse a majority of this. I may cut in from time to time to show you guys the difference. Like we may do, you know, this whole side, and then I'll maybe turn back on and we'll look at the results between the two sides, but let's get going. At this point, we've went one pass. It seems like if I slow down a little bit, this stuff works a little better. But I will tell you, way less dust, and it seems to be giving me the same result. Now look, this car, we're not trying to pull out scratches really as much as we are just trying to get rid of this oxidation. But hopefully you guys can see the difference. There you can see between right and left. I will tell you that this stuff, the first pass, I went a little quicker, and you can see some haze. Well, I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see that there. I'm going to go ahead and switch pads because I'm impatient and I just want to see what the results are going to be. I'm going to switch over to the foam pad and some M205. So essentially the next step up, and we're going to use that to pull out some of that hazing that I caused with the M100 and see what it looks like after that. So we'll get that on there. I just want to do it on this section because, I don't know, I'm just probably impatient and want to see what the results are going to be once we're all finished. So let's grab it and at least do this half of the roof. Now that we're through playing, look at the difference. That is insane. Absolutely incredible. Just two passes. So a really slow pass with the M100 and then like half overlap, so about 50% overlap. And same thing with the M205. And guys, this is gonna work. This is going to be what ultimately we want the whole car to look like. So we got a lot of work to do. So we're gonna get started. Like I said, I'll time lapse the majority of this. And if we start using another product, cause I'm gonna put some sealant on this, something I've never used before, I'll break in and show you guys once we do that. But let's finish this thing up. Now that we've went over the roof with both M100 and M205, got the pillars done as well. I didn't show you guys all that, but we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna have him put some stuff on while I'm continuing on buffing. And then I may hand the buffer over to him here in a little bit because I'm getting tired. But either way, we're gonna go ahead and start putting this on. I've never tried this before. It's by Ethos, and it's like a ceramic wax. We'll just see how it works. I think it'll hold up a little better, but it does separate, so shake it up really well. And then you're just gonna apply a thin layer and let it set until it hazes up, about 15 to 20 minutes, they say. So it spreads on really thin. And like I said, it had good reviews. So we'll give it a try here. At this point, guys, we have went over this thing I say, well, this is a separate day. I've spent roughly 7 hours buffing, if I had to put a number on it. And while it's not perfect, guys, it is so much better. You can see we've taken out a majority of our imperfections, like the big ones, especially the top. I mean, you guys knew what the top looked like and the hood. Now, we did have a small issue, and that is my son, you could see, was leaning on this to reach the center of the hood, and he snapped this. These things are so poorly put together. This just really thin plastic. Now, I'm gonna have to, that's another thing that I'm gonna have to do, obviously, is fix that. I don't know whether I'll have it resprayed. I told him, you know, there's chips you could see on the front of the car, and we really kind of shine those up. But look, you can't argue with the results here. It just looks so much better. So there is one other thing. Actually, there's a couple other things I think I want to do in this video. One of the things is you can see that this glass has kind of started to delaminate from the inside. Now, I'm not going to replace this whole windshield because of that. It just doesn't make sense. So what I think I'm going to do is I've got some black, kind of like pinstriping tape, that we're going to run a section over that and hopefully make that look a little nicer. There's the same thing going on, I think, here in the corners in the back. I don't know that I'll even mess with that because it's not as bad. You could see it like right here in the corners. And then the other thing is I want to put some coating on this piece of trim right here. So let's set you guys up on the tripod and see if I can manage to do this by myself. He has left to go to basketball practice, so I don't have a ton of time. We don't have a ton of time to work on it together, unfortunately, because he's a pretty busy guy. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We may touch up a few other spots, but for sure want to get that trim on. And since we're completely done, I've got 2 coats of that ethos on here. And guys, I will say it's kind of, I pulled it out a couple times. It's kind of hard to wipe off, but I think it does a really good job. This thing feels like a piece of glass now. It's just really came together. So let's go ahead and get that tape on the windshield. Now, because we are obviously putting 2-sided tape or something on here, this is just water and alcohol mixed. I'm gonna give this windshield a cleaning on this area that we're wanting this to stick to, because if we don't, I have a pretty good feeling it's not gonna stick with the amount of buffing, and we did get wax on the glass, you know, just going over. So we'll clean this off, let it dry a little bit, and then we'll grab that blackout tape. So this is what I'm using. It's literally like, I think it's 1 inch wide blackout tape. And I'm gonna attempt to, I'm not using any gloves because I just don't have the feeling in my hands. So we're gonna attempt to get this started, and hopefully it lays down smoothly. It's not very thick. We'll give it a shot anyway. And I'm just gonna try to tuck it up against the glass. I may just take this to the other side. So you can see I've got a section torn off here. I started and didn't show you guys, but it wasn't going well. This window curves. And so because this tape is so thick, it doesn't want to curve with the glass. You know, if you could get around it if it were a little smaller. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece straight across. So I'm going to attempt to start like right here. And then I'm going to try to pull it all the way across in a straight line. So we're going to overlap over the trim. And we'll just have to come back and trim it off. Let's look at it up close. You can see that I was able to get it all the way across. I took a sharp razor blade and trimmed the edge off. Now look, there's a couple bubbles here and there. I think we may be able to hit it with some heat, maybe the heat gun, and pop those bubbles out. But all in all, it looks better than that big chunk. I'm not gonna worry about going down this area here I just don't think it's worth it, guys. So that looks a lot better, and it doesn't like stand way out because the trim's kind of dull, you know. So let's grab some trim cleaner and see if we can shine these sections up here. Now to clean those rubber areas, I'm gonna use this same stuff you guys seen me use before, just used on the Trans Am actually. It's wax and trim cleaner, but here's the deal. I don't want to get it on the paint because I just put wax on the paint. So I'm going to put it on my finger like this, and we're just going to run it up the piece of trim there. This trim's in pretty rough shape. Definitely looks better, got some of that wax off. Probably should go over it maybe another time. But once we do that, then we can grab our gel. Let me find it here, our trim gel. And same situation, I'm just gonna kind of put it on the end and kind of try to, you know, shine that up, make it look a little nicer. Now look guys, look, I know this thing's not perfect, but you know, little stuff like this to me makes it look a little nicer. So we're gonna go ahead, try to put some of that on there, and I'll show you guys what it looks like after. That's what it looks like after we went over it one time with the trim. It's kind of like a, you know, a coating for the trim. Definitely looks a lot better. So I think I may just go over it one more time. I think I may kind of really kind of hammer it on there, let it set and soak in. But I'm liking the looks of that. We're getting closer, guys. Now the other thing I want to do while the trim's setting is I want to put a little bit of tire shine on this thing. I'm not much of a tire shine guy, but this stuff, look, I got doped on a, I won't say I got doped. The stuff works pretty good, but I got this off of Instagram. You know those videos that play, and look, I've already made a mess. I got this stuff, and honestly, it seems to work pretty well. I've only used it like maybe once, but it paints on, and it seems to last a little longer. So it doesn't really sling. Once it dries, it's pretty good stuff. So you paint it on with this brush, which I do like because, you know, the old school methods, where you spray it on, it just gets all over the car and then it slings and gets on everything. So we'll just kind of paint this on, and I'll list it in the description if I can find it. There's other products out there I think that are probably just as good. This one just popped up and I thought I'd give it a try. I don't even remember what I used it on last, but it's supposed to kind of dry where stuff doesn't stick to it, you know, like if it's out in a dusty environment. So we'll give it a shot, and I'll let you guys look at it once it kind of dries up. I do like this, and I like putting it on this way though, with this brush. I wish it didn't have a bunch, there's a bunch of it in the cap here from being tipped over. I have to go grab my light too so I can see out here. Definitely looks a little cleaner. I've only went over it once. Now there's two ways to use this, guys. You can just let it dry and it'll kind of soak in, but it's kind of streaky if your tires are uncoated. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna roll it back and put a second coat on. And once we do that, then we should be good. And then you could take a rag and knock down some of the shine, like a clean rag if you'd like to, which I probably will, but I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit. But we'll take a look at it. I think this is the last thing I wanna do. I went ahead and went over this trim a couple times. I'm just gonna wipe it down one more time, make it look nice. other than that, guys, if he wants to do anything as far as like this front little grill, maybe coating that probably could use it. I'm not gonna do that, but I do want to take it outside, kind of show you guys around so you can see it maybe out in the sunlight. You'll be able to see a little more of the imperfections. But other than that, I think we're just about finished with this thing as far as being ready for him to go. I am gonna make another video, guys. The third brake light was bad in this, which is pretty common. I'm gonna make a video showing you guys me putting that in and talk about what parts you need. I will make another video on that, but let's finish this up, get another coat on, and pull it outside and take a look. Well, guys, after hours of cleaning on this thing, I think we are finished. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. We did make it look a ton better, I think. I did go over the tires with a second coat of that stuff, and then I took a clean towel and wiped it down so you can see it's got that nice shine or sheen to it. It's not like really shiny. It's not like gooey. This stuff does pretty good, and it lasts a pretty long time. So like I said, I'm really not much of a tire shine guy. I generally just like to keep my tires clean, but I thought this would just kind of make this thing pop and look nice. So, you know, we've came a long way with this car, to be honest with you. And I still have one more video, like I said, on replacing the third brake light I'm going to show you guys. But as far as like getting it cleaned up and, you know, making it his own with the wheels, the brakes, and it just looks nice now. And it looked okay before, but the paint was so rough, and I think he was kind of ashamed of that. And now it's shining. Now, does it have its share of scratches? Yes. Could I have spent more time and got more of those out? Probably. More of the marring that you guys aren't seeing on camera, I could have probably gotten more out. But guys, you will spend, you know, 20 to 30 hours if you're doing it on your own with the size of buffer that I have. I really need to upgrade to a better buffer, like a Flex or a Roops or Rupes, however you pronounce it. You know, I could get more accomplished in a shorter amount of time. But I think, like I said, I think it's a huge difference from what we started with. If you guys can't tell from the sides, the hood, just the shine on the hood, and we took all that oxidation off the roof, definitely a better looking paint. That is for sure. It cleaned up really, really nice. And this is something that you guys can do for, you know, if you've got some time, buy one of those cheap buffers. I'll list my buffer down in the description down below. If you want to spend some time, you can really make one shine and look a lot better. So I do still have to fix that hood vent. Like I said, I'm still going to do the third brake light. But all in all, we're pretty much finished for the most part. And sorry if you guys are catching some wind. It got all windy here. So anyway, if you guys did enjoy this video, please, like always, smash that thumbs up button. If you are not subscribed, guys, please go down there, hit that subscribe button. Of course, ring the bell icon. That notifies you every single time we drop a new video. And stay tuned to see what we work on next.